It is August, my friend, and in this video, we are going to talk about what is happening in sidereal astrology this month, August 2025. My friend, we've got our Lionsgate, we've got Mercury coming out of its retrograde. So lots of shifts here. The sun will be moving in to Leo. And we've got so much more to talk about because we've got that Capricorn full moon and then that Leo new moon. So we're going to dive into all things sidereal astrology for August 2025. So my friend, welcome back to the Cosmic Mystic, where we blend strategy and soul work to help healers, coaches, conscious leaders, spiritual women in business build soul aligned businesses that fully support their mission. If we have not met, my friend, I am Danny Simuniz, creator of the Inner Alchemy Method, a 5-stage journey to soul led sovereignty where deep healing meets embodied leadership. So I love to guide high achieving introverted women to reclaim their power, embody their truth, and lead from within. So welcome to the channel. If you are new, hello, welcome. We're so glad you found us. Be sure to hit subscribe. If you are coming back, my friend, hello. It is so good to see you once again. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you're looking forward to in August, and let's dive in. So my favorite thing to do on these videos, as you know, for those of you that have been here a bit, is to first tell you that this is also on a podcast. So we have the YouTube channel and a podcast. So if you want to see all of the charts that I'm going to pull up, that I'm going to show you, which I highly recommend just simply because those allow you to take in that information on a different level, then come on over to the YouTube channel. If you're on the podcast and you just want to hear this, or maybe you saw it and you want to hear me talk about some of the things again, because you know, I don't just talk about what these are, I talk about how you can work with them, what to look out for in your personal growth and in the business realm. So come on over. The links to all of that will be in the show notes and descriptions of all that. The second thing I like to do to start off these videos is to do a state of the union. What do I mean by that? Just like it's not every year, but just like we want to come together, whether we're in our business, whether we're, looking at our week ahead, our month ahead, whatever that might be, is we want to see what is going on. Where is everybody right now? So let's look at where everybody is in the sky right now as we kick off this month. So we've got our sun here at 15 degrees Cancer. Sun has not moved out of Cancer yet. It is still there. It will move in a couple of weeks out of Cancer, or about midway through. We've got Mercury right there making that conjunction in retrograde. So, Mercury is hanging out, vacationing with the sun, chilling, relaxing, shooting some b-ball outside of school. Jupiter is in Gemini kicking off this month. We've got Venus over here in Gemini. We've got Uranus in Taurus. Chiron is retrograde and is in Aries. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces. Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and you can see those two are conjunct. They've been conjunct for a bit. We've got Aquarius here at Aquarius. We've got the North Node in Aquarius retrograde 24 degrees. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Our moon kicks off this month in Libra, and we've got our Mars over here in Virgo. My friend, you can see we've got a whole bunch of retrograde energy. This is retrograde season. We won't see some of these planets move out of retrograde until the beginning of next year. So we've got the slowing down, reflecting time of the year. So let's go ahead and start with our sun. Now, we have been talking about this conjunction here with the sun and Mercury. That is the one that we are bringing in from last month that we've had, and we're going to see until just the very beginning here of of August. And so, because Mercury is retrograde, the sun is going to pull away. So, it's like, it's almost as if, I hope you love my analogies as much as I love explaining them. It's almost as if the sun and Mercury decided to meet up on vacation. And Mercury is like, oh, I'm just reflecting on this beautiful time that I've had the past, few months. It's been like 3 months or so, maybe a little bit less. And so it's just reflecting, it's chilling, it's relaxing, it's doing its thing. They both met up. The sun is like, okay, I'm done. I'm good. I'm out. I'm going to keep on going, chucking along. And Mercury's like, I got a few more days, right? And so it's going to stay there in that retrograde for just a little bit longer. Now, you're going to see that shift. And we've been talking about this. I don't want to bring it up too much, but you're going to see that shift right after Mercury does go direct, which will be later on this month on the 11th. And then they're going to meet up back again, which we'll see later on. But this is at the beginning here of the month. They are conjunct with Mercury being in retrograde. All right. The next one I want to come to is this trine here with Chiron. So on the 13th, you're going to see this trine, right? Cancer, we're still in Cancer season. We've got the trine over here to Chiron, who is in Aries, and that comes in on the 13th and will be in its alignment till the 25th of August. So this one I want to tell you about because, especially my friends, for those of you who are building a personal brand or who are in business, this is the opportunity to shine that beautiful light. Chances are you are going to have a really good opportunity to showcase your special creative talents, your abilities, your thing, what you've got going on. You're going to have an opportunity to do that. This is where we take those wounds, those challenges, those things that we feel like are like, oh, these things, they're like scars, and they hold us back. But this time right here is when those start to become our most powerful pieces of strength, right? Where we're able to become more empowered in those things and see those as opportunities, right? To let that be a strength of ours, right? Instead of a weakness. This is what we can often do. So our healing and overcoming wounds becomes more of like, there's more confidence in here and how we are expressing this, which, yes, let's bring that on. All right. And then we've got on the 17th, so a couple days later, we've got the sun connecting here with Uranus. Let's set that update right here, and it's a square. So there's a little bit of a conflict here. Whenever we have a square, it can be a little bit of a challenge. The sun does move into Leo here. So the sun does move into Leo. We have our beautiful sun moving into Leo, and then we have that over here, the square. So let's talk about this square really quick, because this square can lead to some potential challenges, let's just say. So first off, the sun and Uranus definitely requires you to be more open-minded, more flexible, because there could be a stage of uncertainty, of not knowing, of unease. And so there could be some anxious feelings of like, something's about to change, something's about to shift, something's about to happen. Now, I want you to recognize that could be a really beautiful, like, here, all of my desires and manifestations are coming true. The things that I have been working for are now starting to flourish. Or it could be like, I wasn't expecting that to happen. And yet it's exactly what needed to happen. I believe we were always in the perfect time, in the perfect place. And so this can feel like there's a big change that has just shifted, things that have just happened, and it can feel like everything is going against me, when everything is actually going for you, working out in your favor. These obstacles, I had one of our sacred CEO members. She's got a really great job right now and she loves the work that she does, but the environment is just, it's just a little toxic, let's just say. And she wants to move out into a new realm. And she's like, how do I stay motivated? How do I stay excited and happy when all of these places that I'm applying for, these new opportunities that I'm looking for, the doors are just closing, right? I didn't get the job, or I'm not qualified, or whatever the thing might be, and it's these doors that just keep closing. And she's like, how do I stay excited about this? And my reframe for her, my perspective shift for her was, I want you to think about this. If things are closing, because it often can feel like nothing's working out for me, how do I keep going because nothing's working out? And I was like, what if? What if we just take on this idea for a moment, that those doors that are closing are opening up the pathway for what is meant for you? What if those doors closing were like, you did not know, my friend, right? Like, I think it's a meme I've seen where it's like, whether it's God or your spirit team, and it's like, you know, that relationship ended because you didn't hear what we heard, right? You didn't hear those people talking crap about you behind closed doors, and we did. And so we just removed that relationship from you, right? Like, we've opened up this pathway for you, right? If this is what you desire, if this is what you want, get crystal clear on what that is, and then know that everything that is not working out, I'm going to use that in quotations there, working out, is simply the doors closing so that the right opportunities can come into alignment. So I want you to keep that in mind as we move through this one, because this one could feel like that. It could feel like, why is this happening? Like, right? But it's always, 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 always for your greatest and highest good, my friend. I really, truly, firmly believe that. As many times as I have seen things and I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's absolutely for my favor. All right, let's talk about the next one, which is that Sun in Leo. Let's talk about this because the Sun does move into Leo here on the 17th and will be in Leo through the 16th of September. So the Sun is probably at its most potent and powerful time during Leo season. The reason I say that is because the Sun is ruled by the zodiac sign of Leo, or Leo is ruled by the Sun. So this is really bringing forward our self-expression, our confidence, our vitality, our power, right? I often associate the Leo zodiac with our solar plexus, right? That power from within. And so I want you to think about some things here as we move into Leo, is our personal sovereignty, our personal power, our personal strength, our expression, how we express ourselves, how we lead people, how we help other people shine their own light. There's a lot of energy here with Leo around playfulness. So a lot of people don't know this about Leo, and Leo does get a bad rap, right? Because Leo is dramatic. Leo is all about Leo, right? Very self-centered. Well, when we're talking about the Sun, I want you to think about a couple of things here. I'm gonna help you think about this a little bit differently. So if you're a Leo, pay attention. And if you are around Leos, pay attention. So Leo ruled by the Sun, as I said, right? Think about the Sun. The Sun, in some circles, believe that all our planets revolve around the Sun. Okay, if this is the case and the Sun is ruled by Leo, could you see potentially why Leos believe that everything revolves around them? Because it does, right? The Sun, legit, everything is circling, is moving around it. The other thing with Leo is Leo simply wants to be seen, heard, and understood. They want you to see them, so they will make their presence known. They want to be understood, so they're going to tell you what they think. They're going to tell you, they're going to use their creative flair to tell you so that they are understood. My friends, Leos aren't dramatic, although they can be. It's not that they're dramatic. Leos are simply expressing themselves and they are showing us how to lead. Now, one of the really beautiful things with Leo is that Leo wants Leo wants to be the leader. It doesn't know how to be the leader. It's actually learning to be the leader, right? If we think about now I'm going to use the reference to The Wiz because that is what I grew up on, but there's also this thing called The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, that movie where the lion, right? The courageous lion who wasn't so courageous at the very beginning, but he learned, right? Learned how to lead. He learned how to step in to his magnificence, right? That idea, I want you to think about Leo. Leo's learning. It's learning to lead. It's learning how to lead. And so it needs to be seen, heard, and understood. Okay, let's keep going. So Leo's season is going to bring some flair to things. You might find that people who normally don't express themselves or maybe don't want to share, they're like, let's go. And those that are that, maybe amplified just a bit. But Leo has such a big heart. It rules over our inner child. So there's a lot of that playfulness here. And if we've had things from our past that have stopped us from just being that playful energy, that creative energy, that is also going to come up for you, my friend. So these are some areas that you can work on, that you can use our sun seasons for. I always recommend, there's so many things that we can work on in our healing, right? Why don't we focus that in on whatever sun season we're in? Because those are the things that are going to be coming up for us. So authentic self-confidence, authentic expression, allowing, and I'm going to do a whole video this Leo season about authenticity because I have a lot to say about that because it's very, I've heard some things recently and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. And I think it's spot on. So there's more heart-centered energy here. There's definitely more of an inspiring and uplifting people during this time. Coming out of or overcoming fears is also something really big, like around being judged or being seen, being heard, right? Being understood. Those are some things that can come out here. Creativity can definitely come out here. Maybe you're working on, your creative outlets. Maybe you don't have a creative outlet, right? One of my creative outlets is crafting. I love, love, love to craft. I don't always make time for it though, right? And so it's one of the things that I'm working on, or I will be working on this season, especially transitioning it from Cancer into Leo. Like I'm doing a lot of getting things organized and getting things prepared, so to speak, for my home and for my life right now during Cancer season, and then being able to start implementing some of the things, right? So that I can make sure that I'm allowing those other aspects of me to come out. And it's not just so this focused or that focused. Like I want to have these, like I'm here to live life. I'm not here to just work. I'm not here to just be a partner for my love or to just be a friend. I'm here to fully live the experiences that we have here, these opportunities that we have, right? And I want to do more of that. And so I'll be doing more of that during Leo seasons. Now, some of the things that we can look at from the more business side of things. Now, this is a really great time to focus on personal branding. Now, my friend, if you have not listened to the episode that I did with Christine Moe, she talks a lot about personal branding. I'll link that episode down below, but Definitely go talk to her if you're trying to create a personal brand, which I would recommend to really review your personal brand. Maybe you have a personal brand and maybe you want to tweak it a little bit, or there's something that you want to add in and you're like, how does this fit? You'll definitely want to connect with her. Another thing to look at is speaking opportunities. You know, how do I get in front of people? If that is your pathway, if your pathway is stages, right? Then how do I get on some stages? Or how do I create my own stages? Or maybe it's, you know, more, you're more of an audio person, right? So maybe you want to hit up more podcasts. Okay, great. Maybe that's what you start looking for. So opportunities for you to speak. Maybe it's you're a writer. You love to write. Not a fan personally, but maybe that's you. Then blog post, right? How can you guest blog on somebody else's, right? How can you create these? Or maybe Substack. Substack is really popular, right? There's a lot of people on Substack writing these really great articles that, you know, I absolutely love. Maybe that is your thing. But these opportunities, this is the area that I would look at. The other thing is just to look at how you can make things a little bit more creative, right? How can your spaces be more creative? How can your offerings be more creative? Social media, playing around with some things, again, bringing that energy of play. The other thing is more of like a premium offering or a high level offering, like a white glove, right, type offering. Maybe there's something like that that you want to maybe look at offering if it's right where you are. Um, the other thing is like storytelling, storytelling, storytelling. Leo loves to tell stories. Again, wants to be in the spotlight, wants to be seen, heard, and understood. So, how can you work on your own storytelling? Storytelling is so powerful. It hits on so many different levels, whether we're selling something or whether we're looking to help somebody shift their perspective on something. A story can often do that. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about is Lionsgate, because Lionsgate, we are in this energy of Lionsgate. It is a big, really powerful energy. And because we are talking about sidereal astrology, I do want to make a couple of points in here about the Lionsgate portal. So, Lionsgate portal opens up usually around July 26th or so, and will go till about August 12th this year. It will be on its peak on August 8th, 8/8. Now, this is an alignment. So the Lionsgate portal is an alignment between the Earth, the star Sirius, and the sun. Now, in tropical astrology, the sun is in Leo. As you've heard me say, the sun doesn't move into Leo until when? The 17th of August. So even though in sidereal astrology, we are talking about the Lion's Gate, we are not talking about the sun being in the energy of Leo, because the sun is actually in the energy of Cancer. But I want to challenge this here because the zodiac sign of Cancer, as we learned, is ruled by the moon. And the moon is ruling over our emotional energy. And I don't know about you, my friend, but emotions for me drive everything that I do. And so there is this really powerful energy of emotional energy that we are in as these two alignments with the sun. I'm sorry, the sun, Earth, and Sirius coming together. Sirius is known as our spiritual sun. It aligns with the Earth, with our physical sun, and this sends a higher frequency of light codes that are activating our inner power. Now, our tropical friends are looking this from that Leo energy, but I want you to look at it from your emotional energy, that inner power. Your emotions are probably the biggest power you have, that emotional frequency, right? What happens in manifestation? We've got to get into that frequency, which is coming from the energy of emotion, energy in motion. So, what are some other things and how can we apply this? Now, I often look at portals like these, whether it's a 7/7 portal, an 8/8 portal, a 9/9 portal, whatever the portal might be, as openings. things are opening up and we have the opportunity to jump timelines. This is how I tend to look at portals like this. Now, with this one being one of the more powerful ones because of that alignment with our spiritual sun, Sirius, this one and the energy of 8-8, right, which is representative of the affinity, representative of balance, harmony, empowerment. This is why I would say this is a great time to set that vision of what it is you want to manifest. And you might even imagine, sense or feel, that you are jumping into the portal, into that timeline where the manifestations are happening or have happened, right? And so you're jumping into this timeline, into this frequency. You're aligning into this energy's portal. But before you can do that, you've got to be crystal clear. So use this time right here to be crystal clear on what is it that you are creating? What is it that you are doing? One of the things that I have been thinking about doing for a while, and probably not this year, so next year, is to do a vision board workshop or a vision board activation, which is what I'd like to do on our 8-8 portal. What better way, right, to be crystal clear on what that vision is and in the energy of that. So if you have a vision board, grab your vision board, right? Make sure it's in alignment with everything that you're achieving and use that as the energy. There's also making sure that your business is in alignment with what it is that you want to manifest. So not only from a personal standpoint, but also from a business standpoint, right? What is the plan? What is it that you're manifesting? How do we get on that? Right? If there's things that can seem out of your reach right now, right? If I were to look at a couple of things and I'm like, oh, that's a little bit out of my reach right now, just how I can see it. But there is a timeline where I know that Danny has done that. I want to jump onto that timeline and I want to use this 8-8 portal to do that. So expanding your network, expanding those rich relationships that you have, a new launch of a program or an offering. This is a beautiful, beautiful time to do that. All right, my friend, let's move out of our Lionsgate and into our next opportunity here to look at what we have going on. So I'm going to share my screen once again. So I want to know, let me know if you are excited about Lionsgate, if you'd heard anything that I had shared about Lionsgate, and maybe even what timeline you want to jump onto. Okay, next we're going to talk about our moon. And so we're going to start with the full moon that we have in Capricorn coming up here on the 9th. So I want you to keep in mind that this is the Lionsgate peak, right, on the 8th. Although we will be moving into this Capricorn energy, there we will still be in that Capricorn energy at the time on 8-8. We'll still be in that, window of Capricorn full moon. So let's come over here. We've got that full moon here in Cancer that actually takes place at 2:54 a.m. Central Time. All right. So Capricorn is the energy of, structure, boundaries. It shows us our limitations. It helps us be very goal-oriented and planning and organized. When we are in that full moon energy, Capricorn is also more of our professional persona, where Cancer is more of our home, right? Our home persona, like how we navigate our home life. And so there's often with the full moon in Capricorn, these two identities or these two ways of being of my home life and my work life. Now, many of us these days work from home, whether you do own your own business or are still in a corporate world, we're remotely working, or part-time and part-time in the business, or full-time and part-time in the business, right? There's a lot of us are working from home. And so there's a little bit of this distinction here. One of the things you can look at is, how am I balancing that home life and that work life? Like, do I have off hours? Do I have a specific space where I do my work, right? Or do I just do it all over the house and just create these these energies around the house where I feel like I have to work. Now, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it really does focus a lot on mastery, authority building, and long-term vision. So it is represented by the mountain goat, who is steady, who is persistent, who is reaching for the highest peaks with disciplined effort. So if you are wanting to be more disciplined, this is a great time. Because if there's something that you know that you want to achieve, and there is some discipline that has to come into play, because we can activate motivation, right? NLP, we've learned we can activate motivation. We can tune into how we naturally get motivated and activate that at any time. What if, though, we had the discipline that we didn't need the motivation, right? Because motivation really does come after we've created discipline. So if we think about this idea of discipline, I want you to think about that, maybe any energies around this idea of discipline. Do you like the word discipline? Does discipline feel heavy for you? Does it feel light for you? Do you have you not kept your word to yourself, and so you feel like you don't have discipline, right? It's like, oh, I'm good at disciplined in this area of my life, but I'm not disciplined in this area of my life. So this would be like a peak performance review. Like, how are your systems set up to help you be at peak performance? Do you have a good evening routine? Do you have a good day routine? Do you have a good start to your day routine, right? Are these things set up for you to be in your peak performance? Are you doing the things to help you be in the peak performance, right? It's different for everybody. Another thing that you can look at is your long-term focus. What is the long-term focus? And again, when we look at this Lionsgate portal paired with this Capricorn energy, let's jump on that timeline where I am in alignment with my long-term focus. The other thing you can look at here is mastery. What is something that you're ready to master? And let's release the energy around maybe where you feel like you are not the master. Because sometimes, my friend, I'm gonna stop my share for this one because I gotta look at you. Sometimes, my friend, we think we aren't as far as we should be, that we don't have the smarts yet, right? We don't know all the things. But my friend, you already know so much. You already can help other people. So I want you to keep that in mind as we're moving through this full moon in Capricorn, and write down any of those limiting beliefs that you have around not being a master at the thing you do. Mastery comes from execution. Mastery comes from action, from actually doing the thing. And so are you sitting there like, well, I'm not good enough yet, so I can't do this? The way that you'll be good enough is if you actually do it. Okay. Whether that's sales, whether that's in coaching, whether that's in social media, whether that's in videos, whether that's in storytelling, whether that's in networking, whatever it might be, my friend. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Let's talk about the new moon that is happening in August, and that is going to be our new moon in Leo. So we've kind of already talked about some of the themes that we're going to see with Leo, just simply because we talked about that energy of Leo, right? Well, one of the things I do want to look at is a couple of things that are influencing this new moon in Leo, because we do have our square over here to Uranus, and we do have that trine over here to Chiron. So let's talk about that, because this new moon is more of like creative breakthrough energy, is what I would call this, creative breakthrough energy. So the square to Uranus is bringing creative changes, creative impulses, so that we can, or maybe even insights that can help us break free from some of these outdated ways of our expressing our authenticity or our true self. Now, the trine to Chiron is giving us some of those healing opportunities, some of those opportunities to heal the energy around our personal power, our creativity, our self-expression, right? When we talk about this Leo energy, our leadership, right? This is that idea of the wounded healer becomes the revolutionary, right? This is that moment here. And so I want you to think about, with this new moon in Leo, is where are you ready? What are you ready to break through? Where are you ready, or how are you ready to show up in your full authenticity, right? A lot of the times I think about, my social media and I'm like, my stories, right? And I'm like, oh, nobody wants to see like what I do in the day. My day is boring, right? I often think that my day is boring, but then I find myself watching people's stories where they're taking me into their day and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And they're just taking me to the grocery store and they're telling me what they're buying and I love it, or they're what they're making for dinner, or what their kids are doing, or what their dog is getting into, right? And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what we think is boring is actually probably entertaining to other people. And so this is right, something to look at with the new moon. Healing opportunities around your past wounds, especially related to that creativity, that visibility, leadership, even like, do you see yourself as a leader? A lot of the times we don't see ourselves as leaders. And so there's opportunity for some really good healing here. People pleasing. People pleasing is a big one here. So we can shift some ideas around stepping out of people pleasing. Being more visible. It's also a really good one. And just some ways of how you are showing up in your message, in whatever that is, in your message, whatever it is that you have to say, like that one thing that if you were to have a mic to the world, I learned this from my girl Monique McDonald. She said, if you had a mic, right, that spoke to the world, what would you say? What is that message? And so this is something to really look at with that new moon. Okay, let's get on to some of the other things that I want to tell you about that are happening this month with sidereal astrology. Now, I also want you to keep in mind as I bring up the next planet, we're going to talk about Mercury, is I'm not giving you everything here. I'm giving you kind of an overview of what is happening. Our weekly sidereal astrology forecast that come out on Mondays, those are more specific and they really tell us what's happening that week. So it's more of a week to week idea. Here, we're just kind of covering the big things that are happening, the big shifts that are moving. All right. So let's dive into a couple of things I want to share with you about Mercury. The first one being there's two kind of transits that are happening that are going to be here most of the month. Now, the first one's going to be the opposition with Pluto. So I want to come over here to the 2nd of August, and you're going to see this opposition, right? So we have this opposition here also with the sun, but the sun is moving out of this. But Mercury and Pluto are going to stay here, and they're going to be here from the 2nd through the 20th of August, my friend. It's a pretty long time, about 18 days. So almost most of the month, right? And so let's talk about this one really quick because this one can be a bit of an impact here. So Mercury being our thinking, our thoughts, our how we process information, and Pluto being that powerful energy of transformation, there's a bit of conflict happening here. Whenever we see an opposition, there's always conflict. They want the same outcome, but they're going about it in two completely different ways. We see this, I like to relate this to boxing. We've got two boxers. They both want to win the title, right? But their approaches, their strategies to how to do that are completely different. Now, with Pluto and Mercury here, there's a conflict of ideas, and it's an internal conflict because we are talking about Mercury being retrograde here. So there's internal conflicts, debates that are happening that are challenging you. That is like, I can't, like, there's something, there's a this and a that. In NLP, we call that parts, right? There's a part of us that wants to do this and a part of us that wants to do that. And they're both in conflict. And one of the things that process, what we do would be to bring those two parts together to help them find unity. And so that's what we can look here too. If you've got some conflicting aspects, right? If this wants this, but this wants this, we've got to find where that unity is. And so that's something that we can look at here. This is a really good time for research and discovery, though, whether that's internal research, so that journaling, that processing of information, or it's searching, researching information. Any way that you can allow yourself to release some energy, mental energy in particular, because Pluto is very powerful, it's very potent. And so there could be some extra mental energy. So, ways to calm the mind, right? For some of us, again, I've talked about this in a number of videos, but look at where your Mercury is on your natal chart. Mercury, that zodiac sign, the element of that zodiac sign is going to tell you the best way to calm your mind. So I love, let me just say this, I love meditation. I love being able to sit in a meditation and, ground my energy and just process some things. But I also know that that's not for everybody, right? My love has so many thoughts. It's really hard for him to sit in meditation. What actually is really stimulating to him is solving puzzles, is solving things, right? That actually helps him process information. And it also helps him relax his mind. Like he actually enjoys doing that. So that's for like an air element. A fire element needs to actually solve something or do something, right? They need to come to that like completion of things or the starting of things, right? Maybe it's like we're going to brainstorm because we're going to start going on something that actually feels really good to them. A water sign is going to process the more of the emotional aspect of something, right? It's going to allow things meditations are really good for them. Like yoga might be really good, just like yoga actually might be because it's softer, right? A Bikram yoga class would actually be better for a fire element because there's a little bit more, yes, heat, but it's a little bit more intense and it needs that. So again, different ways that we can use this energy. And this is something that I would highly, highly, highly recommend. Now, one of the things that I would say is because the mental powers are so, so powerful during this time, be on the lookout for manipulation, right? That's one of the things that can come up with Pluto. And because we're talking about a mental game, there could be some, mental strategies coming out that might be a little bit more manipulative or cohesive, not cohesive, corrosive. No, that's not the word. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So look out for mind control, look out for propaganda, look out for some of those more negative, right? Or things that maybe might be misleading you. Okay. All right. Let's talk about one other one with Mercury before we move on to our next planet. And that is what I want to talk about. Mercury going direct. So Mercury is going to go direct here on the 11th. You'll see Mercury transition. Let me go a couple hours. It's going to transition out, there it is, out of retrograde and into its direct position. When it goes direct, the energy is going to start to move forward, right? And it's that energy of like, I'm ready to move forward with things. One of the things that I want you to keep in mind, though, is there's always a post retrograde. So first off, when it goes direct, we want to be able to allow ourselves to whatever's come up during Mercury retrograde season, whatever we've rethought about, rethinked. I was going to say rethinked. Whatever we've redone, reprocessed, reviewed, right? We're now ready to move forward with that. And so that's what we're going to do. We want to start moving forward with whatever it is. The challenge is that we're still in the shadow period. So we always have a pre-shadow and a post-shadow. I've done videos on this where we have these two energies in culmination with our Mercury retrograde. The pre-shadow is where things start to come up. You might start to identify some areas where you might see some challenges as we move through a Mercury retrograde. And then on the flip side, the post is where you're starting to implement these new strategies. You're starting to move forward, and there's things coming up. I could be like, what the heck is happening? Right? It's almost as if we're testing, right? We're testing these new strategies. We're testing the new way of doing things, and we're going to get some new information. So it might still not be as smooth sailing until we move out of the shadow period, which will be at the very end. I believe it's the 23rd of August. Okay, let's move on to Mars. There's only really one thing I wanted to talk about with Mars, and that is going to be coming in on the 22nd. There's a lot going on with Mars, but we're carrying a lot of this energy from July. Some of those placements that came in at the end of July, in particular, like Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and even the Mars moving into Virgo at the very end of July. So let's talk about this one that's coming in on the 22nd. Where's Mars? There you are. And that is this square over here to Jupiter. The square over here to Jupiter is going to be in effect all the way through September 16th. Okay. So this is the energy of initiation. This is the energy of starting new things. This is forethought and strategy, because Jupiter is able to see the bigger vision, right? And it being in Gemini, it's like it's seeing all the things, right? Mars is like ready to take action. And Mars being in Virgo, it's like, let's get things in order. Like, I don't know if you felt that, but I felt that so much. Like, I spent a whole day this past week, like setting up my like life planner, right? Like it's a business and life planner that I use on Notion. And it's like, I haven't been utilizing it till its full capacity. And so I spent a whole day just like really organizing everything. And then I'm like, wait, I need a life one now. And so one of my goals this next week is to start creating a life one. It's like, I'm just feeling this energy to get things organized and in order. And so here at the end of the month, you combine these two together, and you've got the power and the energy and just that insight to just really push things forward, really start things going, take some really big action. One of the things I would challenge you here with is to choose your fights carefully, because there could be some opinions here that it's like this and that. Choose wisely, my friend. Choose wisely. I'll just say that. All right. And then last but not least, let's look at Venus, because Venus is going to be moving into Cancer on the 20th. And so Venus is going to get all lovey-dovey, wanting some nurturing energy here. So let's come on over to Venus. There she is. She's going to move out of our, let me get her. There she is. Out, out of Leo and into, I'm sorry, out of Gemini and into Cancer. Okay. Wait, no, I said that right. No, I said that wrong. Yeah, Leo comes next. So if we're looking at Venus here coming in on the 20th into Cancer. So Venus, she's love, beauty, money. She rules she rules all those things. And I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. Huh. Danny, share your screen. There you go. Let me share it now so you can see. Okay. She has an emphasis here on emotional security, meaningful relationships, like those deep connections, right? She's not here for the superficial. She's here for those deep, meaningful connections. There's a very strong theme on home, family, and creating nurturing, supporting environments, right? Where we feel safe, where we feel welcomed. And so there's a big shift here that you're going to see of like wanting to be home, wanting to connect more deeply, right? Myself, right? Like I'm wanting to bring people together and have really good conversations, and not just the weather or what's happening in the latest news, right? Let's have some deep life conversations, right? Heightened sensitivity can be here as well, because we've got that Cancer energy. So those emotions are very strong. Your importance to your family and to your roots, to traditions of your family, connecting with your ancestors is very, very good. Even setting up like an altar for your family, for your ancestors is great. One of the things that I would really recommend here is looking at your emotional boundaries. Boundaries in relationships, key component here. Really look at how you are setting those things up, reviewing those things, enforcing those things, because it's one thing to say that you're going to do something, it's a whole other thing to actually enforce it. So there's a lot of that that could be coming through here. From a business perspective, how are you supporting your community, right? We look at that during Cancer season, but even more so when Venus is here, right? Is what supportive ways, what nurturing ways can you bring in to help your people, right? What can you create where these spaces feel emotionally safe, or they feel, where they feel more comfortable, right? uh, Coziness is important here. So how can it feel cozy, right? How can it feel like just a beautiful, like, I don't know, for me, I think of like on the couch with a blanket, right? Maybe something cozy to drink, whether it's warm or cold, right? It still feels like that coziness. The other thing I would say is investments. So, especially in relation to real estate, these are always really good during this time because dependent on whatever the market might be doing, but real estate investments, right? Ruling over money and the idea of home, of creating spaces. This is also something to look at here. All right, my friend, I think that is it. There is, again, much more detailed type little intricacies of things that are happening. But that in general, my friend, is what we're going to see in sidereal astrology for the month of August 2025. I would love to know, what are you excited about? What are you looking forward to in this new month? Let me know down below in the comment section, and be sure to check out links to all the other things. Again, if you are new here, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you are subscribed, because these overviews come out every single month. And then we have our weekly forecasts that come out every single Monday. And if you're looking for a little bit of personal growth development, definitely check out our Rise and Align series. You'll see some really great things around how to navigate this energy in a much deeper level. All right, my friend, have a beautiful month. I wish you the best, and I will see you next time. Until then, remember to keep shining your unique light.